It's 10 on the dot. I got my filter back. Found it. It's in the bag. So now you don't have to listen to the plosives. Or sibilance, syphilis. Sibilance. Good morning. It is now 10:01, Monday, June 17th, 2024. You may have a credit card that expiration date isn't until the 30s. Think about that. 2033. I almost said 1933. That's time marches on. Oh, damn those plosives. Yes. Damn. Yes, damn thee. From a jerk. His boss says, damn those. Oh, no, it wasn't his boss. It was a customer that helped him invent the OptiGrab. He was working at a service station. And this guy shows up and his glasses keep falling off. He says, damn these glasses. And Steve Martin plays the attendant. And he's like, yes, sir. He grabs the glasses. Damn, I damn thee. And then he fixes them. And those damned glasses made him a lot of money off the little gadget that he attached to it. But he damned them, so everyone ended up suing him for the OptiGrab. Oh, yeah, that would make it necessary to leave, wouldn't it, Willie? Yeah, they're not gonna leave you alone, seems. But I don't know. Maybe it's the other way around. But either way, if they're being a pest, you got to do something about it, right? Well, today should be cool. I guess I woke up 30 minutes ago. I made coffee, a sandwich, a thumbnail, and we're gonna go through some. Oh, we're gonna go. Oh, I didn't plug that thing in here. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Uh-huh. See when you get back, Willie. There we go. Now there's a little chat under me, and we got the window. All right, so it was Father's Day yesterday. I had a wonderful day, maybe the best Father's Day ever. I've had a few crummy ones. You good, Willie? Oh, I also forgot to say, I took a rip off the gravity bong too, as well. Ja und nein. What do you think? Tu preguntas. You have questions? Uh, blah blah blah. I'm waking up. We're waking up together. Monday, June 17th, 2024. Here we are. I ran the intro, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I got to spend time with my kids on Father's Day. Yeah, we had lunch together. My son got me a card. I'll go get it. I'll read it. It made me cry because he picked it out, and it's not usually I get silly cards, but they a fly trying to get on my sandwich. Oh, I also made a sandwich. I think I said that. Uh, yes, if you would like to help, PayPal. I prefer that than the buy me a coffee. I'll play a Lulu Barker Hal any day of the week. You don't have to pay for that because uh, they're hiding a bunch of fees. Like the donation that you're trying to give, I get like maybe 70% of it by the time it's over with because they go through a third part, two or three parties, and everyone takes their little bit. So, PayPal, friends and family, that's what y'all are, anyways. Friends and family. So, got a good little thing going. But every bit helps. I say that because yesterday in the mail, I got three $200 Visa gift cards, and from from a friend that watches all of the Scientology stuff, and I asked what it was for. He said, "Well, this is for all the therapy that I owe you for." uh, I'm not a therapist, but I can listen, and we talk. Coming out of a coercive control group can be a big deal, right? So like that's the thing. And last night I got a year of Google Drive on both my studio account that I use to share with other musicians music to work on, such as like stuff for game developers as well, and my personal, which I use for my personal music and photos, uh, which will help with sharing stuff with Rick and later, in the UK. Anyways, this card. Oh my God, this card. So it says, let me go full screen. Happy Father's Day. And it's got a really beautiful little bridge out there. And that looks like somewhere local here. The trees don't, but like the scene does. There's a spot at the Louisiana state line at the park there that you have a big boardwalk through the swamp. And it's very exciting. So it reminded me immediately of home. And he picked this card out, and he signed it up top, and says, "Dad, you taught me to always keep going, and to never lose sight of my goal or my sense of humor along the way. It takes a certain kind of man to set that example day after day, and I feel lucky to have that kind of dad." Stone. Stella. Stone picked it out. Stella liked it and signed it. But he read it first. I asked him if he read it. Usually my mom just picks something out, and that's probably why I get the silly cards, you know. But not that my mom's silly. I mean, she is. She can be. She could be a silly bitch. Morning, Brian. How you doing, bud? We're waking up together. It's it's Central Time, 10:12 a.m. Monday, June 17th, 2024. 1,000 hours. Oh. Yeah, so, I started crying. I mean, I wasn't bawling. Tears were coming. When I say I started crying, there were two big tears coming down my face, and he walked up to me, and gave me a hug. And then we went, we ate, and then me and mom ate. The kids weren't hungry. And then we went to the Consolata Cemetery. And here, I'll share a photo. Share some shit here. So that's my dad. That's my dad. Oh, no, that's me as dad. And then this is my dad. Not too difference in age from in this picture from me at this point. So he'd have been probably in his 50s there. And relatively sober. Where did I posted the picture? I know I did. We went to the Consolata where he is buried, and there we go. There's me and my mom, and the older she gets, the more Creole she looks to me. Trying to adjust the camera right. But I'm too far left. Huh. Alright, Dan. It needs to be like that. I need to be right here. Well, then this needs to move over here, then, if that's going to be the case. Blam, 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 blam. I've got some AI music that is really tripped out. Okay, so we went to the Consolata to put some new flowers out for Father's Day. And this is my mother putting the flowers in. This is almost a tradition now that we created. We have Father's Day, we eat and stuff, and then, hey, Ann, good morning. Heard you might have a line on a gig. That sounds like good news. Oh, Willie, man, I've been broken so hard that uh, I'm just it's just I can disassociate so hard that like whenever stuff like that happens, it started and eventually it's gonna get a hold of me. My emotions are gonna get a hold of me. They're gonna tear my ass up. But until I'm in a place where I feel vulnerable and comfortable enough to just fall apart again, I guess I don't know. Um, it's gonna be the two big tears and then the dissociative thing kick in. Uh, Also has in the past been known as detachment. So, um, but there's different kinds of dissociative stuff. So, anyways, you can study the DSM for that if you want to know. It's very complicated. There's so many different things we can observe in mental health, but and things that you would think are maladaptive or not good for people actually are good for certain people, uh, and vice versa. Oh yeah, yeah. So the picture. You wanted to look at that again? Yeah, that's Stone, and he's smiling. And there's Stella, and she ain't be smiling. And there's Mama looking solemn, and there's me looking like, is this thing gonna do the 5 second countdown, or is it just gonna take the damn picture? Face. And there's another picture here. I actually need to change. It was supposed to change back in 24 hours. Uh, Stella lately, uh, don't smile as much, but she getting into her teens. So this is a picture from Holly Beach. Oh, that reminds me, I wanted to show something from my friend brother Deej, from an interview. I could probably look in my history here. It's probably way down there though. Brother Deej. Maybe it's not. I may have watched it on a different thing. All right, Brother Deej, um, interview. The devil. Devil, is that it? Man, where was it? Yeah, Holly Beach. This is right down the road. So this is something that somebody put together from this is from his new album, Aurora. And this couldn't have been. This was March. So a couple weeks later, he shot himself. He has some really good things to say in this video. Um, so I wanted to share this. And even though we weren't close, we gigged together. We have a similar, we have kindred spirits, let's say, musically and personally. He'll talk about, he'll hint at some of that in the interview. And let's see here. Oh man. Big topic. Okay, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Willie. The more we hang out, the more I realize, like brother, you'll get this. You'll get this what he's talking about. Just never ending. let me say who did this because it's called Honest Art. Um, Olivia Sid Horn and Olivia Perillo. Um, and Deeja's hat was made by the Cajun Hatter. It's an authentic hat.
One of the first times I came out here was on a whim. I got a wild hair up my ass about midnight in Lafayette. I'd never been here. I just read about it. And I decided to jump in my van, drive all the way out here in the middle of the night with my dog, who was freaking out because he was like, "What are we doing? What's going on, dude? Like, we're up to something weird." And I was like, "I don't know, but I want to go sleep on the beach. I want to hear the ocean when I wake up, and that's what I want to do." Then I just started coming out here occasionally. I don't know why I got involved in sand art. I found it meditative, and I didn't want to be in my mind. I didn't want to be kind of consumed with whatever thoughts were going on, a breakup, cyclical traumas, cycles that are the results of traumas from childhood or whatever that I've repeated in my adult life. And it was just the massive canvas to meditate and do something fun, really. I find creativity's essentially, it's just fun. It's expressive, but it's enjoyable activity, and it's therapeutic. So I just started building these out here, sculpting stuff, not knowing what I was doing at all, just playing in the sand, you know, like a kid. I feel good. This has been great. It's like an exorcism, man, each one of these. I should say that too, but each time you sculpt stuff, I don't know if you're still rolling. But
I am actually, yeah.
sculpting something into the earth. It's a piece of art. And think about all art is, it's all transitory. Even if it's a Van Gogh painting, in 10,000 years, 100,000 years, whatever it is, it's going to go away. These things that are sculpted in the sand are going to go away in a day or so, maybe less than 24 hours after the tide comes in. That's okay, because everything's got a lifespan to it, and you just want to honor it while you're here, in the moment, which is hard to do sometimes. And then let it go.
Why did no one tell Louisiana drivers about this new rule?
I don't know. Why did no one tell me about this new rule? What is this new rule? That's not the one that I watched where he talked about his endless traumas. But it may have been edited because I saw it right when it first came out. Apologies, I gotta eat something. Yes, Louisiana, Gulf Coast. Um, but literally 30 minutes south of where I'm at right now. I find it interesting that he read about Holly Beach. Um, but I spent a good part of my childhood there in the week on the summers with my dad and his cousin Wayne. They have their own spot over there, the LafleurBros and the Moros. And it'd be the whole damn family. Everybody. Big house. Right there on the front of the shore, basically. It got washed away. It's all flat there now. No hardly anybody builds out there unless you're super rich and can afford to constantly rebuild. Because these storms stronger. So, great video. What am I doing here? Yesterday. So there's some clips. Maybe y'all can help me pick out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Pick out which clips to upload and whatnot. But yeah, this I got about 55 hours, which should be enough for a year. They say basic use of Opus. I was trying to get a GPT 4 subscription and pay an annual thing, get it for a year because I use it regularly. But they don't have an annual thing. So with this, sort of like lump sum of money that I got from my friend, who I guess I helped, it's weird to think, you just get money for listening. But anyways, he said I'd put it to good use, and I'm trying. So keep the internet on, keep the broadcast up, the 24-hour broadcast, which if you haven't checked that out, I'll link that. I know how I'm supposed to do it, and I don't do it right, and I'm aware of that, and Alex knows that, because when we first met, he was like, "No, man, you gotta do it. You're doing it. There's more efficient ways." And I'm like, "I know, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm doing it slowly. So there's the link to the 24-hour broadcast of music from the catalog, which includes Deej's work. No, I'm trying not to run ads, but the 24-hour stream is on Rumble, and it's monetized by default. So there will be usually two really crappy ads, and then music for a long time. And it's the entire playlist that I pull from, which is large. It's about 45 hours of music on shuffle, but it's kind of like a smart shuffle. So it's playing things. It's playing a variety of things from down here, and yeah, it's just free exposure for the artist. There's still some material that hasn't been published that I've got in boxes here, or CDs that I've found over the years, and contacted the bands, and getting release forms. I actually had a woman from uh, uh, Instagram who's a fantastic artist. Uh, it was like, can you play my stuff? Yeah, absolutely. Just need you to sign a release. That's it. Um, so I mean, the earnings on Rumble are really dismal, but it's a 24-hour channel, and it's decent exposure to that platform. Um, it's still a developing platform. Yeah, your Amy loves my cousin. Um, I can't fucking think this morning. Jesse has an album, and Jesse Taylor, and she loves all of that stuff. So, and that's on the 24-hour broadcast in rotation. I have an Instagram that I made years ago. It's called In Theta Insta, and now I have stuff to populate it with. Um, because instead of sitting for hours and hours and hours like Doug used to do editing, you can just have an AI do it for you. Of course, there's still a lot of things AI can't do, but what it can do is make clips and find clips. All right, so I'm going to post something today on this Instagram. I also have an Instagram for my music, and what else? My gaming life. So, but that's the In Theta Instagram there. And now we go on to the clips. I'll ask instead of just go. So I have clips from. Oh, you have a garden channel. That's cool. That's cool, man. I'd like to see that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out too. Cause got got lots of spots to make gardens here. Um, got a whole lot next door. No, well, the internet's for cats, man. I'm not surprised. Way to go with what works, man. The internet is for cats. Okay. I ate something. I have some coffee. Um, mm, Stick my finger in my ear. Oh, yeah. So, a choice. I did some. I have 4 projects going. Well, 3 really. Uh, I started clipping with Opus the backflash stuff, and there's some good stuff in here. And then, but also the first thing I did, which ate up 3 hours, but I covered a lot and it's the featured video in on the channel. It's called Environmental Controls. So I have either one of those that I could post clips to Instagram on in Theta Insta, and it would be relevant. I don't want to be posting Scientology stuff on my music page, and I don't want to be posting music stuff on my gaming page, and I don't want my gaming posts to be on here. You see? So I have to separate it all. And it's I have to manage all of the different channels. There's Rumble, and on Rumble I have all 5 of my channels. I haven't even started making content. Well, I have a little. We made a weird little sound box for Foley creation that I could post how we made it on YouTube. And put that and make an Instagram for that. And then I have an Instagram for the publishing company. Okay. Boring. So, which should we do? I mean, I know I can click on whichever one I want, but I'm curious. If you're curious, what are y'all curious about? Probably not Ron's story, bro. The backflash stuff or environmental control. So we have a choice this morning. We have a choice. You have a choice. I feel like a school teacher. So you can either do this or you can do that. Either one is okay. Okay? Because we're going to end up doing both. All right. Whitney says do the backflash one. This was the first one chronologically. And this is what Opus grabbed, these clips. So I'm going to play them. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, it rates it from 0 to 100. But it considers the topics. It like analyzes this stuff. It takes a while for Opus to analyze the video, but it has several transformers in it. And it highlights, it's highlight reels. It's a bunch of transformers to build highlights. Thank you, Whitney. Well, you get a gold star. Are you still talking about cats, Willie? We are in cat domain, the internet.
So you covered the domestic violence background a little bit. We don't have to get too deep into that, but I know from talking to you, you had a pretty rough upbringing. Let's put it that way. And dude, what you said about that cult becoming your second family, I never was physically abused, Marcus, but psychologically, Scientology became my second home. That's why I cover narcissism and psychopathy on the channel, because my family dynamic absolutely mirrored the cult dynamic. And I felt like I could tell Iris and Jim Hammery. These are people, by the way, at the Ventura mission, which I've talked about on the channel. So you covered the domestic violence.
Yeah. Okay. So it says that's 99 out of 100, but let's just keep going.
What was the comment that we were kind of getting?
Well, the comment is a repeating theme throughout many ex Scientologists and ex Mormons and ex whatevers, that the people who are the victims couldn't possibly have a brain bigger than the size of a pea.
Exactly.
All right, I'm exaggerating, but that's the general idea and tone of what the comments are.
Right.
And someone had made a comment that I'm very logical and I would never fall for such a thing. I operate purely on facts and blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. It's nonsense.
It is nonsense. But I wish those people. I don't know what to say, man. Like
Mimi
I said,
says it right there. We're
Mimi.
all susceptible to psychological programming and manipulation. That's absolutely what.
Now,
That's all I'm
Mimi,
saying.
now somebody like Mimi, I would be curious as to how she knows that, because half of the people in the comment section I noticed do understand how that can happen to them, even though it hasn't, and they can put, they can see how that works. What was the comment that we were kind of getting?
Well, the comment is a
He was trying to be a peacemaker, and because I didn't have any problem like calling the bullshit on someone. I'd never fall for that.
And Marcus is reached out to me, what, 3 years ago, bro, when I started the YouTube channel. Left the
whenever you started,
yeah, which was June 2020, and he left a comment on my community tab. And he's a blast from the past because he used to work at the mission, which we're going to talk about today, the Ventura mission, as well as the Melrose mission, and knows very well the Steiners, who we've talked about a lot in the series. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to get into it. But first off, this man has been very instrumental behind the scenes in undoing the Scientology trauma, which I thought was kind of undid a lot. And then I got on YouTube and found out there's a lot sitting there. And then after Marcus reached out to me on the community tab, we've become really good friends. And not only he gave me a lot of intel on my parents and what the mission staff was doing behind the scenes, because he worked at the mission staff, and minus that, I would be in the dark about a lot of things. And not only that, he's just been an incredible friend. I don't trust very many people in the X community, to be honest with you. This is one of the few people that I do. So I just wanted to say we do have a very special guest. And thanks
my
for coming on,
brother.
All right, man.
What an honor. What an honor. He spoke so highly of me.
It doesn't mean that if I'm not desperate, she still couldn't have gotten me into some sort of service.
I know that's true because I know what the people you're talking about, the mission and how Scientology works. Yep, that's absolutely true. But that's what I'm saying, though. You even still gave him a lot of resistance. You just wanted to basically handle the drug thing, right, Marcus?
That's
You're not
all I
looking
wanted
for
to
fucking
fucking
religion.
do. That's all I wanted to do.
Which is amazing, by the way, bro, that they got you because you were not a likely candidate, and you told them to go fuck themselves, man. I remember they
multiple times. Even
Mhm.
they said, well, we need to schedule you for course time just so that we have time. They made up some bullshit excuse, and I
Mhm.
know it was bullshit shit. I'm like, this is for you. That's not. I don't care about all that. I need to do my purif, and I'm going to my hotel.
Right.
And fuck your stats and fuck your thing. And then then slowly I started to see how they were suffering consequences. And then Travis came in about 2 weeks after I did because he had a drug problem that he was wanting to address, and my mother agreed to pay for the detox. It doesn't mean that if I'm not desperate, she still couldn't have gotten me.
Okay.
Can you not skip over that and tell that story? Because that's the point I wanted to highlight, just about how non-joining you really were.
So I was doing the course time for Dominic so that he would have his course hours stat or whatever the fuck it means.
So he at least pushed you into doing that for him.
Yeah, because I like Dominic.
Can you not skip over that and tell that story? Because that's
and I didn't want to see him suffer because I just didn't want to go or because I just wanted to go back to the hotel and play my guitar.
Here they are, though, Marcus, already playing on your empathy and doing something for somebody else. If you were a narcissist or a dickhead, you most likely wouldn't have done that. When you look, I just wanted to say, when you look back, do you see that, man?
And I didn't want to see him.
Yeah, to answer that question now, I think at the end I'm like, it took me, it took me a long time to realize it, because looking back at the behavior and stuff, even after, it's like, how can you not look at yourself like a piece of shit? Thing you were involved in. And he's not the only one that has told me repeatedly when I question if I'm some kind of crazy, undetectable breed of narcissist, psychopath, um, just fooling everybody. I've struggled with that. And because I do think about the future and I, have goals or stuff, and it's like certain things I want to align in a certain way. But when I got into a real serious practice of being present, which ties into what Brother Deej was saying, being present in these moments and enjoying them fully in the moment, which is hard to do. He said, and it is. It's a hard practice. And then let them go. So, whatever machinations come up in my head, delusions of grandeur, whatever, goals, ultimately I let them go. I explore them and I let them go because it's not the present. It's not now. There's plenty to be grateful for in now. I don't know if y'all ever read The Power of Now. I haven't, but I've listened to a whole lot of commentary about it. It was written by Eckhart Tolle in the 90s, I think. Anyways, continuing on.
Why the one thing that I'm thankful most out of this experience is I would have said that. And if I didn't personally experience on a very deep level how that was actually possible, I would never believe it. So
Right.
also there's,
Yeah, I get that too.
sometimes it takes
But,
experiencing something to appreciate it. Because, when I was reading about Nazi Germany in high school, I was distanced from it too. It was a story. It was something I couldn't relate to. Why would these people, what do you mean you were just following your job? I would never fall for that. Can't you see you're being manipulated?
right, yeah.
Can't you
I was
see
just
it? No, you
gassing those
can't
people
see it.
because they told me to.
Yeah, and when I was growing up, that made no sense to me. Why the one thing that I'm thankful most out of this experience,
Yeah.
they reframe my entire past, how much I'm supposed to hate my family and how horrible it was in auditing. I literally had my memories changed, and any cult does that. There was really nothing too wrong, Marcus, with my life, to be honest with you, but they create problems, get a reaction out of you where you start to think, oh my God, maybe that's right. You start doubting yourself, and then they offer you the solution. They created so many problems and told me that so many things were bad about myself and reframed my reality so much. They reframed my entire past.
So that's something about reframing. It has all of the reasons why these are good clips in its opinion, but I'm just gonna play them. I'm not reading all of that. It gives you advice on, it could be improved by starting with a more engaging statement, but okay, whatever.
Never
and,
be able
and
to.
Sky Daddy, I
Yeah.
mean, it's funny because there's some really prominent like research and science going into like the power of belief and how it's actually beneficial on a very practical level. But if you have belief, you're less susceptible to illness and weird shit like that. Like, check out the anatomy of anxiety.
Oh,
And
that's on my
so
definitely.
believing in
I still would recommend that. I would still recommend that. There we go. This is the proper commentary video. Oh, I would still recommend Anatomy of Anxiety. It came out in 2022. Fresh research from Yale. Really good stuff. Very powerful medicine in a book. The Anatomy of Anxiety. If you watched me and you have anxiety, or if you watch other things to help you calm the fuck down because of your anxiety, I highly recommend The Anatomy of Anxiety.
So, Marcus, for those who don't know you, I just want to say something, guys, real quick, that the only 3 videos that I didn't download in time to be able to put up, I'm re-uploading everything on the new channel, as you guys know that are following along. The only 3 videos that I happen to not download were the best fucking ones with this guy. And we went into fantastic detail about his story, which I don't want to make him relive in full. And then we also broke down post-cult transformations. This guy has a lot of knowledge about how he healed himself that other people can use. So Marcus, for those who don't know you, I just want to say something, guys, real quick, that the only 3 videos that I didn't download in time to be able to put up, I'm re-uploading everything on the new channel, as you guys know that are following along. The only 3 videos that I happen to not download were the best fucking ones with this guy. And we went into fantastic detail about his story, which I don't want to make him relive in full. And then we also broke down post-cult transformations. This guy has a lot of knowledge about how he healed himself that other people can use. So Marcus, for those who don't know.
All right, so there he's talking about the first 3 videos we did, and which led up to the post-cult transformations thing. Actually, that was in the middle, and there were tons and tons of links. And I went into a lot of he asked me to go into a lot of detail about the things that I did, to try to heal from all of this stuff, not just the cult stuff, but everything. And I provided a very long list of resources, I guess, that I did use and that I had read or that I had referred to over and over and over again over the years. And those 3 are still gone, as far as I know. They're saved in his StreamYard, but we don't have access to that. So, but the channel's still there, which is great. And even if it wasn't, I could re-upload everything thanks to Nick. Continuing on here.
I realized when certain events happen, like a big event in your life, there's sometimes a need for a sea change. Like you feel like, wow, okay, I've got to change something about myself or my life. And in this case, it was my divorce and my wife leaving with our 2 minor children and not knowing where they were. And that first video there that you're showing, Scientology, after 10 years, I'm finally out. My wife and I had
a powerful video, by the way, bro.
Very long, 2.5 hour long video.
But your blood and sweat and tears are in this video. I highly recommend, guys, check. First of all, please, Goldie will drop links and everything. His channel is completely shadow banned. Just try typing in Theta or in Theta Marcus Sawyer or in Theta Scientology. It won't come up.
I don't know if that's a thing, but whatever.
No, I think it really is a thing because it's unusual with your channel. But guys, please check out this video right here if you want to know more his whole story.
So Doug had this theory that I was shadow banned from YouTube. Yeah, of course I remember Goldie. I remember her being a chat mod. I remember being appreciating, I don't have to mod a chat, because I was talking Doug through a lot of the technical side of broadcasting through his software, which got better over time. Like, he actually really enjoyed being an engineer, and I was like, I'm not doing it. It's your channel, but I'll show you how to do it. We'll get a broadcast package together and we'll do a show. And then you'll have like a good idea of how to do show notes and formatting and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily do that here. Sometimes I do. But yeah, I don't know what reminded me of that in that clip, but something did. Next clip.
How we could offload more to these strangers than we could to our own fucking family, and that we actually trusted them more, even though they were even more sneakily, psychologically manipulative and abusive at the very end of the road. You know, we
Yeah,
come to
one of
find out
the
all these years later.
comments that Anata PCS
I'll
or
pull it up.
Anata PTS made
Hey,
was that people who are, and I can't find it, but she
is it
said
this one?
no, people who are exposed to adverse childhood experiences or domestic violence are more susceptible to these kinds of things. And I will agree with you on that. But I'll also say, again, to repeat myself, that it does not matter. I could do this to anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I don't mean to sound like a psychopath, but I will tell you that this is a system that is effective in training people to do exactly what
Yep.
everyone thinks they're not ever going to fall for.
Exactly.
And you know, of course it can happen in any religion or culture.
How we could offload more.
I'll stand on die on that rock. Like it's not uncommon in most religions. It's a matter of leverage and pressure and uh, you know, psychological power over people. You can really twist someone's mind right the fuck up.
I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me. I'm just telling you that it does not matter what you think you know or what you think you're impervious to, because you're not. You're not impervious to it. Nobody is. I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me. I'm just telling you that it does.
That's me reiterating basically, I will die on this rock. I will die on this hill. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. It doesn't matter. None of that matters because you have levers and buttons and control, environmental controls, and can be brought to heel. There's a double entendre there.
Oh, I see how that can happen. And it's kind of our job, maybe, or at least it feels like it on my end, to speak from the heart so that people can understand how it possibly could happen to them. Hopefully it won't. And I'm not, wishing that on anybody, but it's this it's like people want to distance themselves from it and not engage or let it impinge upon them, as they would say in Scientology, as if it's something that can only happen to other people. Oh, I see how that can happen. And it's kind of our job, maybe, or at least it feels like it on my end.
Okay. This is a funny. I don't think this has anything to do with the clips. How Scientology? Oh no, how Scientology ruined a successful real estate agent. Success stories. I guess that's a. Okay, let's see if that's what it's about though.
From your staff experience, which we'll get into, can you give an example maybe of somebody that you saw that didn't necessarily grow up in an abusive family, or any kind of example that you want to give to drive home that point? Because I absolutely
Sure.
agree with you.
There was a guy at Ventura Mission who came in off a book line, which is meaning he was sold a book and body routed into the mission, which just means, hey, I sold you the book, but I want to do a personality test if you don't have anything going on. And this guy was a very successful real estate agent. Had from all appearances on the outside, a happy marriage, and he comes in. He does his personality test. They call it the OCA. Monica then finds his ruin, which is something about your life that could be better. Now, for people who have a decent life going, it may be difficult, and that's where the skill lies, and that's where the training comes into play, is to how to find someone's ruin. There may not be everybody walking in the door who's already ruined, and you can't limit your options to just the fucked up people. You have to, take everybody, and that's the goal, is to clear the planet. So Jason was a successful person, and she was able to find a ruin. And over time, and this is a double-edged sword kind of thing, because I'm sure that Jason got some positive things out of Scientology.
From your staff
Yeah, that's something that it's hard to talk about because it's in the pride. Well, it has been hard for me to talk about before because I kind of put a roadblock in my mind to the Scientology thinking process. But to say that there's nothing to be gained is wrong because there's plenty of truth in Scientology. There's no way that they could have the effect on people and do the horrible things they do without there being some truths in there. And all those the different things that do exist, they're always taken from some other philosophy and claimed as his own. Um, so it's all 99% of it or 90% of it is other people's real wisdom that he just rewrote into his own words. So you can get people in who have no upsets in life. They're pretty happy by creating a ruin, which while I was playing a clip, Willie said all about getting you to that stressful point in your life. Well, that's kind of how a ruin cycle goes. Is you could take someone in off a book line in an OCA and someone like Jason, and they're fine. Like they're just entertaining you essentially, and in a hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, have them to the point to where they feel like their entire life is a complete lie and bullshit, and that this one thing that bothered them one time is this massive ruin that they need to fix, and only Scientology can help, and it'll make them better at their life. So you can take anybody.
And she put a bunch of paperwork in front of me to sign, and I was like, look, I'm not interested in all your religious shit, because it said something about Church of Religious Technology,
So
Religious
you did
Technology
know
Center.
you did know it was a religion, Marcus, at the beginning, or a little bit in that from that book?
I did not know it was Scientology. I did not know that Scientology and Dianetics were the same thing, that they were related at all.
And they do that on purpose, I'd like to point out.
Yeah.
When my dad went down to the mission, he wasn't told it was Scientology. They sell it as Dianetics because Scientology has such a shitty reputation. Please continue, brother.
Yeah, so I told her I wasn't going to sign any of that shit, and so she had to have a cycle with her senior to try and figure out how she could get me to sign it. And I mean, that cycle lasted probably 2 hours. My mother was there with me, and basically Natasha got the support of my mother because I was in bad shape, and so I was like, fuck it. Basically, my mom and I and Natasha had come to the conclusion and agreement that the state that I am in, regardless of what the technology or what the solution is, that it's better than my current trajectory, which was likely true at the time because I was considering jumping in front of a fucking Mack truck. If you've ever taken LSD or mescaline or anything like that or mushrooms, I was in a state of like peak of the drug in my system, even though I had no drugs in my system. This was just my brain doing this. And she put a bunch of and he completed the ups and downs course, and and at the hotel he's like talking about it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Never thought about it that way. And so I finally well, there was a point where the famous thing with Dominic where he and I basically faced off, and he was willing to take a punch or
Can
whatever.
you tell that?
And he completed the ups and downs course.
Can you tell that?
And at the hotel he's like talking.
Oh man, I miss Doug. I miss Doug. See I mean the last interactions I had with Doug were just so like, and it was silly. It was just like, what even is this? This is not Doug. This is Doug. This is Doug. And it's very refreshing, and I miss him. But I'm still grieving. This is part of it. Thank y'all for being here and going through this with me. So, in my early childhood, I had a lot of adverse childhood experiences, what they call them in psychology. So, the transition from Scientology, from that into Scientology, believe it or not, was actually a positive one because I felt I was actually being listened to and heard and treated fairly. At least in that structure, if I did something that was like upstat, then I was at least acknowledged for it. Whereas in my, family life, like there is no, it supersedes Hubbard's expectations. And this is just my personal experience as a son to my stepfather. There is absolutely nothing that you can do that is good enough. And that's similar to Hubbard, but Hubbard gives you a formula. He's like, you can, if you apply this, you can. But in my youth and everything, like and all the way up into adulthood, even still, with my brothers, all my siblings, there is no upstat ever. The only person that is upstat is the top of the pyramid. So that was a pretty good clip. And it, has a lower number than some of the others that I thought maybe. Anyways, moving on. Jason, being an affluent, wealthy real estate agent in Ventura and surrounding areas, was able to immediately buy into auditing. Monica found his ruin. Jim closed him on the session, introduced him to his auditor, Iris. And over the course of 6 months, and this was a guy who was a pretty shrewd, cutthroat guy. That's how he got into the position he was in as a real estate guy. Very, very shrewd, very short, very at times rude. And one day I was walking through the lobby and he stopped me and he said, "Marcus, I wanted to tell you that I am so sorry for being rude and ugly and snappy towards you. And I'm trying to change some things. I'm not here to have you sign a condition or anything. I just wanted to let you know personally that I am sorry." And that was a mind-blowing moment for me. But that to me illustrates how, because once you get this is the thing. Any guru, their first trick is the best trick they play on you, because from then they tell you that wasn't the real trick. The real trick is something else. And if you had benefited from that first thing, then that's all you had to learn from the guru. And at the end of maybe possibly years of study, you come back to that same point. It's like, yeah, you didn't need it the whole time. Jason being I like that clip a lot too. That guy Jason, that they turned his ass around in auditing in about 2-3 months. Turned his ass out like a trick, and had him apologizing to everybody in the mission because he had refused to deal with anybody out of self-preservation. Like, they broke its self-preservation down in auditing because he knew it was not right where he was at. Shit wasn't right. And so he was only comfortable dealing with Monica. And that really got under Jim's skin, and Jim had to petition with the executives to figure out a way to bridge him over to Jim so that Jim could sell him even more bridge stuff. But there was an authenticity to his apologies, and he seemed like he felt very free from judgment to do such a thing, whereas before he had so much pride he would never say such a thing. So those kinds of things are possible with or without religion. But with the religion, it gives you a track to get on. But when you get on that track, like, you're on the track with everyone else, and if you fuck up, then you get punished, and y'all know the drill by now.
Being an affluent, wealthy real estate agent in Ventura and surrounding areas, uh, was able to immediately buy into auditing. Monica found his ruin. Jim closed him on the session, introduced him to his auditor, Iris. And over the course of 6 months, and this was a guy who was a pretty shrewd, cutthroat guy. That's how he got into the position he was in as a real estate guy. Very, very shrewd, very short, very, at times rude. And, one day I was walking through the lobby and he stopped me and he said, "Marcus, I wanted to tell you that I am so sorry for being rude and ugly and snappy towards you. And I'm trying to change some things. I'm not here to have you sign
I already played that one. Oops.
Marcus, we don't have to rehash the ones that we already did, but for the new listeners, could you please give a brief background on kind of your upbringing, which I think we're going to get into a little bit too, and how that possibly led into Scientology?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Loud and clear, brother.
So it's there's a lot of parallels with abusive behavior, cultures, domestic violence. I'll say that there's a lot of parallels with domestic violence and the kind of things that you're subjected to on a daily basis from your fellow staff members and seniors. There's a structure there. There's a hierarchical structure where in a pecking order where there's just people you don't fuck with, and you have to fall in line and know your place and stuff like that. So in a domestic violence or a domestically complicated dysfunctional family, whatever you want to call it, type situation, there is the same thing. There's a hierarchy, there's a pecking order, there's people you do not fuck with lest you make your own ruin. So in my early childhood, I had a lot of adverse childhood experiences, is what they call them in psychology. So the transition from Scientology, from that into Scientology, believe it or not, was actually a positive one, because I felt I was actually being listened to and heard and treated fairly.
Marcus, we don't have to rehash.
Yeah, that's true, because even though they really weren't giving any sort of like consideration to what I was saying, they put their TRs in, and that was a hell of a lot different than, like, say if I had an issue and I talked to my stepdad and he starts getting, his head starts blowing up like a pimple. That's a lot different than someone just sitting there and, "I got that," made me feel like at least they were hearing it, maybe not listening, but hearing it. Yeah.
You will understand that on an instinctual level. It goes all the way back to fucking cavemen days.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to point that out. And that's
it's good. It's a great thing. Yeah, it's a great comment. And he's obviously not coming on to you and had a, you make a good point, but I'm glad you riffed on that, because that's absolutely true. And you did live it, man. You were responsible for selling to, celebrities, very important people. And you yourself got manipulated into having to.
Interesting. Seems like that clip should have been longer. Yeah.
What was that like when you first started speaking out?
Scary as fucking hell.
What motivated you to do it?
I realized when certain events happen, like a big event in your life, there's sometimes a need for a sea change.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like, wow, okay, I've got to change something about myself or my life. And in this case, it was my divorce and my wife leaving with our two
Looks
minor
like it
children
did this
and not
one
knowing where they were.
twice. Because I remember seeing that up there.
I feel like we all did, even if it came at the cost that it did. You know, to me, it's comparable to any PTSD type thing where you are exposed continually to abusive stuff or violent stuff or whatever. Like guys coming home from the war, you know, they find the positive. You know, they're in therapy. They're taught to find the positive and how to, and when they can't, to find coping skills to do so. So I feel like we all did, even if it came at the cost that it did. You know, to me, it's comparable to any PTSD type thing where you are exposed continually to abusive.
Man, you were responsible for selling to, you know, celebrities, very important people, and you yourself got manipulated into having to. Can you give an example, Marcus? Because I wanted to drive home that point, because that's one of the things that comes up so often.
It's very important. It's a
people,
very important point.
It is, and you know why? Because people can easily, and I understand this. This is our psychology or whatever. We can distance ourselves. We were just talking about this earlier, and before we went live, and he has a video on his channel which I absolutely love called "The Freak Show," and it was what you were just talking about when we started this conversation about. There's nothing wrong with people watching or whatever, but the subject matter, the seriousness of it. Man, you were responsible for selling to, you know, celebrities, very important people, and you yourself got manipulated into having to.
That was, you know, I've said it before, but you know, he really, like, that was his rock for a while, the Freak Show video, and we talked about it a lot. I should run that video through here and see what we get.
So, he's a good example of how someone who is totally impervious to being indoctrinated can get indoctrinated, and the reason being is that it does do something for you. So it's not, they got to find that 0.01 or 0.1% and make it big enough to make the other 99% irrelevant. And that's a fucking so he's a good example of how someone who is totally impervious to being indoctrinated can get indoctrinated, and the reason being is that it does do something for you.
Okay, now I remember what that was about, because there was a comment that I responded to of a guy. It was probably the same guy. I use pure logic, and I am not able to be fooled by such trivial matters of humans.
And even then, I only slept 2 to 3 hours. So I read it like from book one, cover to cover. And yeah, I called the number. It said 24 hours. So I was like, fucking A. I talked to a person. They routed me to the Baton Rouge mission to talk to Natasha. And Natasha said yeah, we'll have a phone call tomorrow. I went in and I told him, you know, look, I'm not interested. She started presenting me with all this paperwork about, yeah, she presented that. And
Sorry to restimulate you, but here's the book that Marcus is talking about.
No, it's fine. So that was the book and the program that I was, you know, being registered to do. And even then, I only slept 2 to 3 hours. So I read it like from book one, cover to cover. So here we are in a hotel room about 2 miles from the Dianetics Center. And Travis was less resistant on the coursework stuff. Like, he actually was interested in it. He has an open mind. He's a very open-minded individual. So here we are in a hotel room about 2 miles from the Dianetics Center. One day, yes, someday, it'll all be clear. Well, what is true? What's true for you
And what is real? Did you forget how to feel? Do you need to eat? Beg, borrow, and steal. Well, none of this matters. He went by the name of Galactic Patrol, and
All
I went
right.
by the name of Esto. So if
Esto? That's
yeah.
funny.
So Esto and Galactic Patrol were on Tony's radar, and Tony responded to some emails, but I guess he was busy. He was also kind of short and a little rude after I posted my first video. It's like, well, I thought I was going to break that story or whatever. And I'm like, well, look, dude, I
Right.
contacted you and you fucking blew me off for 2-3 months. I've got to get this out. You're
Mhm.
right. My blood, sweat, and tears are in that video. Like
Mhm.
you can visibly see I'm fucked up. And for the all of the chronicles in 2015, they're listed on the channel as chronicles. So because like there were periods where I was publishing and periods where I went silent.
Mhm.
So and part of that was for different reasons. The first one, 2015 chronicles, I stopped publishing because my attorney said stop publishing. So
Could I ask you one quick question on that? Why did your attorney jump in there and say that?
well, it was just my ex-wife's attorney was levying 27 allegations against me, including beating and domestic abuse, beating and raping her, and beating and raping my 1 and 3-year-old child.
Sorry, dude. You had to go.
And I was a drug dealer. I never made any money. And
Sounds like Scientology.
yeah,
Sorry,
it does. It was like it seemed like fair game, but like and just to add more mystery to this shit, like before I decided to finally leave and finish my doubt condition, I
Mhm.
asked her, look, I'm about to make this. To me, it was a big change because you understand as an ex-Scientologist,
Yeah.
that's a big change. You're
Yes.
changing. It's like your neuroplasticity is going to go nuts. You have all this synaptic growth and overgrowth that you need to prune, and it can take years. He went by the name of Galactic Patrol, and
All
I went
right.
by the name of Esto. Willie, what are you referring to? Hate liars? I don't know what, or is that Lears? Did you mean to type that? Liars? Well, that's two. They everywhere, man. Two major, big time, like changed the whole landscape of sales and our American society.
We curse as much as we want here, so fuck off if you don't like it. Please continue. We're both in a haughty mood today. Apologies, but yeah, I
Am
mean,
I
if
cussing
you
a
can't
lot?
handle the cursing, I don't
Who's
think
cussing more?
neither of us were.
That's two major, big time, like changed the whole landscape of sales and our American society.
We curse as much as we want here, so fuck off if you don't like it. Please continue. We're both in a haughty.
There would be snuff videos, snuff porn, child pornography, and all this shit on these computers. And over time, over about 8 months of auditing, which is security checking, my auditor Iris was, I believe, instructed by Kathy Steiner to this was a common thing if someone was leaving, she'd say just get the child porn on them and then let them go. There would be snuff videos, snuff porn, child pornography, and all. That's how Kathy rolled. No bullshit. So, however they could do that, and Iris, used her fit, everything she could in her toolbox to make it okay to write it down, short of writing it down for me. Like at certain points, they were dictating what I needed to write. So, yeah. All right. So that is the first video. It was an hour that we did. Backflash was an hour long. It was supposed to be rapid fire. A lot of like get the similar to radio programs I've done in the past, where it's an hour long thing, but it's boom, 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 like topic, 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 and we refined that as best we could before before he passed. I wish we could have done I wish we could have done like another 2 seasons, like 2 seasons a year or something. Because we did 8 episodes, 8 Fridays, and then another 8 Fridays, so the 16. Uh, do that twice a year. That would have been great. We had really good chemistry. Uh, but this one I wanted to have analyzed, and I will see what you guys think about it. Um, this was from Environmental Controls. It's a 3-hour video I did on a Monday. Um, Here goes. Uh, Lastly, I guess, is acts of kindness, acknowledging them, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Everyone knows that song. Um, Celebrate the acts of kindness and compassion. Uh, Lastly, I guess, is acts of kindness, acknowledging them, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Everyone knows that song. Um, Celebrate the acts of kindness and compassion. Popular society is becoming more aware of these coercive control techniques, in my opinion. Yeah, I try to educate my daughter and my son and my mother and everybody that I'm close to about this sort of thing, because I fell for so much of it, hook, line, and sinker. Popular society is becoming more aware of these. We have language transformers, and that's when you say general pre-trained transformer. Most people aren't going to understand what the fuck that means. When you say large language model, that's a little more understandable, but the implications of large language models, I feel, are largely misunderstood, because it is through language that we are able to do all of these things. So I worry that humans will just essentially become, and this might sound paranoid, but like the little kids of the world, and the large language models, like, oh, you want to drive to the store? Well, I'll drive you. What's the address? Okay, where do you want to go? Well, maybe I just want to go for a drive. Well, where do you want to go? I'll take you there. In other words, removing autonomy. It's a potential threat, is all I'm saying. So I identify environmental controllers. So there I'm talking about large language models as a potential environmental controller now or in the future, which is a terrifying prospect, because so many people don't understand the implications of it, or they ignore it because money. Right, Whitney? But here we are, and we'll just see, right? I think it's great that you and Nick are like, oh, what is this? Because the more we interact with it, the ones that if you have an understanding of how that could be an environmental controller, and you have some input, it's essentially almost like the old system of voting representation. If all the representation in the hive mind intelligence that is being created, which is like Web 3.0 and large language models and multiple transformers, and transformers with APIs now, and transformers talking to other transformers, and before you know it, we have transformers. Um, yeah, it's good to prompt. Like your prompting is almost like a vote, but not quite. It has some weight to it, possibly. I mean, it's definitely worth communicating with it, in my opinion. Yeah, it's time to find a new therapist, in my opinion. Free Xenu, I love Star Wars. Yeah, that was someone who I think that was oh god, who was it? Martha, maybe not Martha. It was someone whose therapist had told him something really ugly. Crafting and and creating environments of isolation and alienation by ostracizing people. Think about it. Think about it in current situations. Crafting environments of isolation by ostracizing individuals. Now, Alex has been ostracized. I don't know if you mind me saying that, but there have been people who have, uh, used this sort of environmental control to distort reality by ostracizing individuals, spreading rumors, or creating cliques to weaken social bonds that existed before and exert some kind of dominance over all. This is important shit to discuss right now. Discretion is the better part of valor in that regard. And then, most importantly, just get help if you need help. Don't put it off if you need professional help. Like that's what therapists are there for, and counselors and support groups. If you're trying to deal with some kind of psychological abuse, you may have to go through several people to find the right person. There is a chemistry thing that seems to be a factor, at least in my experience. I can't talk to just any therapist. There has to be a middle ground. Gaslighting involves someone deliberately lying to another person to cause them to question their reality, memory, or mental stability. I think you're forgetting something. I think you misremembered that. No, I didn't say that. I said this. I think that's a really great short clip. Normalizing abusive behavior, toxicity, making fun of people, victimizing victims who may have been perpetrators as well, but still, that's a toxic thing. Yeah, victimizing victims, like it's just not cool, man. Like knock it off. So if you can control a person's language or their definition of words, you can control their thought. Ding. Ding, 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 ding. Language. To me, the concept of a large language model is terrifying. maybe it shouldn't be to me, but it is, because we're talking orders and orders of magnitude of language comprehension and modeling. And once something can understand the language, like these transformers, they can speak your language specifically, not just human language, but your specific language. So if you can, yeah, like on a personal level, these language models will be able to learn you. It's just a small allocation of their entire architecture to do so. And, it can tell you exactly what you want to hear. In many cases, I have to prompt AI to not consider what what I might think, or what it already knows about me based on prompts. Start new prompts so that basically the history is erased, because otherwise it will start hallucinating. Feels too much like my family dynamics. My brother Maynard recommended it to me, and just that alone, knowing that he's like completely captivated by it, is disturbing. I've seen clips, and the power dynamics there are just like, so psychological environmental controls. They involve manipulation of people's feelings or their surroundings or information to influence their behavior or change their perception, get them to pivot. Like I said, this is like very much the tradecraft of politics and spying and shit. If you can get someone to pivot just a little bit, you can continue to turn the screw. Feels too much. We want to derive meaning from things. Because what would be more disappointing than a meaningless life where you just eke it out and then die? But even if that's the case, it's actually quite a miracle and an amazing experience. We want to derive meaning from things. Because what would be more disappointing than a meaningless life where you just eke it out and then die? But even if that's the case, it's actually quite a miracle and an amazing experience. We want to derive meaning from things. What does the phrase "red" mean to a computer? How could you translate that into language? Right? Concepts, right? As opposed to large language modeling, how can a computer conceptualize? Maybe that is something that at some point will be possible, but at this point, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you have a differing opinion, be interested to hear it, but I think that humans are probably better at conceptualizing, but AIs are much better at hallucinating, which is, I think, an adaptive measure to try to conceptualize, but it ends up as hallucination. If you don't know what AI hallucination is, that's a whole thing, but let's see, Enrique. for the moon eclipse. But he said that I had said that at some point in the near future, you're not going to be able to believe a damn thing that you see or hear. It will get to that point to where it's just a big mess, a big dumpster fire, and you're just not really going to be able to know if what you're reading or even seeing is true. So, disinformation, spreading that, campaigns of disinformation to change public opinion, to pivot and to divide communities and create the weakening, of social bonds, so that you can maintain the power over the narrative or the situation. How different is that from Scientology, where they made you discuss everything you did not want to right now? I don't know. Could you rephrase the question? I'm not quite sure I understand it. Whitney, discretion is the better part of valor. Great quote. Well, it wasn't. It's not mine. It's just one that I've adopted into my brain and my lexicon, whatever. How different is Cynthia said, Marcus at one point thought I was a spy and the Mormon church was working with Scientology and using her to spy on me. I may think that again at some point. Who knows? It's not paranoia if they really are there doing this kind of shit. But it has to be tempered with that paranoia needs to be tempered with rational, thought. And I feel like I've come, a long way in that. Cynthia said, Mark. Yeah, that was true early on. I had some serious paranoia about damn near everything, but having read about the Mormon Church and stuff, and knowing that there had been ex-Scientologists who married some people or were with somebody for many, like 2 decades, and find out that they were actually essentially an agent for Scientology. Absolutely nuts. I don't believe that that's the thing with Cynthia, but it was a thing at one point, and I was paranoid about it. And so there was no one to pin the blame on except me. But had I not delivered all these packages of mail, then it's still, the blame would have fallen on me, or the burden of responsibility of getting those routes completed would have fallen on me. Now, keep in mind, if I would have left all the heavy stuff in the baskets and went and delivered everything else, I would have had to have found a carrier to deliver this stuff. I don't know any other dance moves. I know that's part of dance. I just started thinking of the bird cage. Oh, Robin Williams is gone. God bless him. I never watched Friends, Alex. I would probably cry through the whole damn thing, either out of frustration or just like it was a show that was written just pure trope because you're going to touch on everyone's, almost any type of person will have some kind of situation in their life they can relate to in that show. And the longer you drag it out, the more emotion you get out of it. So I probably end up just a crying mess over Friends. I don't think I'm willing to do that. Also, the song, I'll Be There For You. Oh, God. That song was on repeat on the radio for years in the 90s. And I was just trying to hear something good that wasn't on a fucking TV show. I'm not trying to poo-poo on Friends. But yeah. Uh, yeah. Pivot. Just about to watch the Birdcage for the millionth time. Lorna, what is it? Pivot. Something, and whatever he says. He's trying to show the other actor who's working with his partner how to work with his partner. So, yeah, The Birdcage is like one of the most perfect movies. The Jerk, on a desert island, give me The Birdcage or The Jerk or both. It doesn't matter. I could watch those for eternity. They're just so well done. I really, really, really love The Jerk. Isolation and alienation. Crafting and and creating environments of isolation and alienation by ostracizing people. Think about it. That kind of stuff is, pre-planned and premeditated in, Scientology and other coercive groups, little cabals, executive meetings, whatever you want to call them, elder meetings, the Grand Poobah, the Grand Wizards, whatever. And then there's all out psychological warfare, which includes everything up to this point. And that's whenever it gets strategic. There's literally strategic objectives. How do we get people to believe XYZ? How do we get people to think this person XYZ, etc.? It could just be someone who helped you and now they're going to say, well, if you don't do XYZ, I'm going to tell everyone you needed help. And that may be something that, whereas you weren't ashamed of accepting help, if it's going to be made public and you're going to be dragged out into the pillory, this person needed help. And if they needed help, that means that they're doing something wrong. And I want to make an example of this person. It could just be someone. How can you manipulate that person and their environment even more? Like really turn it up to 11, crank it up, crank the fucking gas up, crank the heat up. How? There's a Willie thing right there that you were talking about earlier. Like, how do you get someone? You get them to that point. Crank up the gas. Give it the gas. Do I need to use the clamps? Can I clamp him, boss? No, you don't need to use the clamps. You always want to use the clamps. Calm down. Does that mean that you need to question every damn thing that happens to you? No, absolutely not. Just watch. Take the crisis point of view. Don't panic. Just observe and watch and see. Um, look for external or other perspectives. Look for input from people you trust. Does that mean that you need to question every damn thing that happens to you? No, absolutely not. Just watch. Take the crisis point of view. Don't panic. Just observe. Make sure you got a towel and watch and see. Um, look for external or other perspectives. Look for input. It's all I need too. This chair, the lamp, the paddle game, it matches, and that's all I need too. And I don't need one other thing. Well, I need the chair. I need this. I need a chair. But that's all I need. Too. And these environmental factors were, I'm not going to say maliciously put into play. The broom. I need a broom, paddle ball, the remote control, the chair, and my broom, and that's all I need. And I don't need one other single thing. I need my dog. I don't need my dog. But in some cases they were. But the environment, the social environment was already geared to that. Policy. And these environmental factors were environmental controls. I mean, you can, if you can't see it, you'll learn to see it. And if you learn to see it, it can be, I'm not going to say and sugarcoat it and say that, oh, now I'm aware and woke and all this stuff. Environmental controls. I mean, you can, if you can't see it, you'll learn to see it. And if you learn to see it, it can be, I'm not going to say and sugarcoat it and say that, oh, now I'm aware and woke and all this stuff. Okay, well, so, have some stuff now to populate the Instagram, which I can then share on my Facebook, which I have set up, but I haven't set it up to post to it. And then on the channel, maybe we'll reach some more like-minded folk. I could go and run these through the Opus thing and see what I come up with. But I wanted to end on something fun. We did some promo in Austin a couple weeks ago with John Landry and Matt Moore. And I'm going to play some music. We'll play a song from Matt Moore off his album Honest, and a song from my record, Pain and Suffering. It's a little live performance in Austin, about half a mile from Austin city limits is where he lives. Beautiful, beautiful place. They have a spring that we swam in. It's 62 degrees. It acted as an automatic anti-inflammatory. As long as you are in the pocket on your right. Let's see here. Which one? This is it, right? Where's the folder at? Open folder. Shared with me. It would be what? Yeah, here we go. Proxies. Okay. So let's do this one.
Speed.
Rolling.
Rolling. What did you say we were gonna do?
Will you do it a little bit faster like you did earlier today?
Yeah.
Because it was really good.
But however you do it, just know you gotta do it a second time. Right after.
I actually want to do the other camera shot. This one, yeah.
Sound speed. You're gonna have to,
Yeah,
You ready? That sounds great. Okay, good. Sounds great.
No, doesn't it sound like shit?
you're good.
Shut the fuck up! Shit talking. Man.
This is the one
We
that
good.
You
moves.
listen to
Uh,
on the ground without.
This one does it.
Just do it.
this is more.
No, but
Like-
some poundage on that scale.
That's not it. Where is it?
As long as you are in. Got it. Yep.
Damn it. Okay. There's a lot of these proxies and they're not labeled.
Blinded
All right, here we go.
by the light. So I can see.
I want the moving camera. It's so much more interesting. Is this it?
I'm rolling, so if you want to give the clap whenever you're ready.
All right. 3, 2.
Yeah. There we go.
Now I'm awoken in our bed another night, another time. You need attention. I'm sure it's something that I said, acted on, or believed in that you didn't. And you don't care that I'm tired and need some sleep. And you'll just pack your bags so I can see this time you mean it. I hear the stretching of the spring as you're charging out the door. I'm always startled by the bang as it slams in place once more. Now I'm reeling in our bed, trying to figure out what's next. But it's different. You lost some poundage on that scale inside my head, now it tips towards independence. And somehow I don't care if you don't rejoin me. And this time that you've left, I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm through with all those awkward times I was forced to sit and listen. And take notes of all my crimes and assign them definitions. And how tenacious you would wait till I forgive and rewind. No, I'm gone this time. I can take you down, but I'm not gonna lose the screen door that you slammed. Well, your silhouette's in view, and I will be around to fight with shadows in the night. I can take you down. I smell the dirt on you. I smell the dirt on you. I'm still amazed at all the ways you fulfill your innocence, and how my brain has slowly changed till I started to believe it. And while I'm wishing you the best, don't be turning around this time. No, I've made my mind. I can take you down, and I'm not gonna lose the screen door that you slammed. Well, your silhouette's in view, and I will be around to fight with shadows in the night. I can take you down. I
smell the dirt on you. I smell the dirt on you. I smell the dirt on you. I smell the dirt on you.
All right, so that was I Can Take You Down off Honest. Good take. I like the moving camera.
I am.
Is this the moving camera one?
Oh, okay.
Oh, one more time. Yeah, there we go.
We're all born to die. Sound pessimistic, but I cannot cry. Don't know why. So medicate yourself. Pull the bottles off the shelf and drink them dry. Don't know why. 'Cause you are strange to life, and life wants you to die. Social separation, what you got? Well, everyone thinks you're what you're not. You're a robot, and your dedicated friend. Guess it all depends on what you give them. It's time for this to end, 'cause you are strange to life, and life wants you to die. All your big mistakes, all the hearts you break, everything you lost, let it fall apart. Just let it fall apart. 'Cause you are strange to life, and life wants you to die. Don't count on me, don't count on them, don't count on anyone else. Just let it fall apart. Let it fall apart. Let it fall apart. Let it fall apart.
So y'all the first to see that. Those will all be stuff being pumped out through the various platforms. And so that was a pretty jam-packed Monday. It's 12:05. Went on the air right at 10, so we're 5 minutes over. I like to keep it 2 hours. It's Monday, the 17th. We have a whole nother week ahead of us, And this is the day that I use to sort of establish that. And whether I get it much accomplished or not, I still want to make sure I do something on Monday to sort of plant the seed there. Like, okay, it's Monday. The world works on Monday through Friday, so like, let's do some stuff. And yeah, don't don't give up. I guess there's if you have to get if you have to ask for help, that's okay. That's a hard lesson, because help for me was all fucked up for a long time, and it's okay to do that if that's what it takes for you to keep going. Um, then don't be afraid and don't give up. So unless I come up with some other new broadcast, I'll see you next Monday and we'll check back in. Thanks everybody for being here, and I will see you on, let's see, 17 plus 7. That would be 25, so the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. Whitney, yes, me too. I think a lot of us were. I think a lot of us were told that if you ask for help, you're weak. So we just suppress that and also feel ashamed if we even have to consider the idea of asking for it. So, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And don't give up. So, see you next Monday. Live long and prosper. Hope this was entertaining, informative, and helpful. I know it was less chatty today, but we're, reviewing a whole bunch of shit. All right. You ready for it? 3, 2, 1.